Most people live two lives: the life they are given and the life they promised themselves they would create. The problem: somewhere along the way they forget, they settle, they trade their vision for convenience. Today, I want to talk about that dark reality and the power it takes to remember who you said you would become. When you were younger, you had a vision of yourself. Maybe it was bold, maybe it was ambitious, maybe it scared you. You looked into the mirror and you saw a version of yourself that was not ordinary, not average, not someone who would just exist. You saw someone who would matter. You said to yourself, "This is who I will become." That promise was not small. It was pure. It was filled with fire. But then life started to test you. And that's when most people forget. The truth is, forgetting doesn't happen all at once. It's not a dramatic moment where you say, "I give up." It happens slowly, quietly, in the background of your life. You accept one small compromise. You trade ambition for convenience. You settle for a job you don't love. You surround yourself with people who don't challenge you. And before you know it, the person you swore you'd become, the person you once saw so clearly, becomes a stranger. That is the first darkest power lesson. The enemy is not out there. The enemy is in here. The enemy is forgetting. Think about it. Every day, life gives you two options. One, fight for the person you promised yourself you would be. Two, surrender and live as someone you never wanted to become. And most people, without even noticing, pick the second option every single day. They don't fight. They don't remember. They let comfort, fear, and doubt win the battle. But here's the thing. When you forget who you said you would become, you lose not just your dream. You lose yourself. I've seen it happen to brilliant people. People with ideas that could have changed everything. People with talent that could have inspired millions. But somewhere along the line, they traded their dream for security. They told themselves, "Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe it's okay to just be normal." And in that moment, they killed the very fire that made them alive. That's the tragedy of forgetting. It doesn't just kill your dream. It kills your identity. When I was building Apple in a small garage, I had no money, no safety net, no guarantee. But I had a vision of who I wanted to become. And that vision was more powerful than any obstacle. It carried me through rejection, through doubt, through failure. If I had forgotten that vision, there would be no Apple. There would be no iPhone. There would be no revolution. It wasn't technology that kept me going. It was remembering the promise I made to myself. The crisis of forgetting is subtle. It disguises itself as maturity, as practicality, as responsibility. People will even applaud you for it. They'll say, "You've grown up. You're realistic now. You've got your feet on the ground." But in reality, you've betrayed yourself. You've betrayed the very essence of your identity. And that betrayal eats at you in silence. You can feel it in the pit of your stomach. You can feel it late at night when you're alone. You know you were meant for something more, but you're too afraid to face it. Here's the truth: it's easy to remember your promise when everything is exciting, when the world feels full of possibilities. But the real test is remembering when it's hard, when you fail, when people doubt you, when no one believes in your vision. That's when remembering becomes power. Because in those moments, your memory of who you said you would be is the only thing that keeps you alive. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they forget. They forget the hunger. They forget the dream. They forget the promise. And once you forget, the world will shape you into whatever it wants. You'll become just another cog in the machine, just another face in the crowd, just another person who once dreamed but never lived. So the darkest power lesson here is simple. The first battle is not against the world. The first battle is against forgetting. Because if you forget who you said you would become, nothing else matters. If you lose that memory, if you let it slip away, then everything else you do is meaningless. Most people believe talent will save them. They believe intelligence, creativity, or even luck will carry them to greatness. But the truth is, talent is common, intelligence is everywhere, and luck cannot be trusted. What separates the ordinary from the extraordinary is not brilliance. It is discipline. Discipline is the weapon, the sharpest edge against mediocrity, the one thing that will either make you unstoppable or leave you forgotten. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is not the highlight reel that you see in movies. Discipline is waking up when you don't want to. Discipline is saying no when everything inside you screams yes. Discipline is cutting away distraction, temptation, and comfort so that you can focus only on what matters. It is not a one-time decision. It is a daily war. A war between the version of you that wants to rise and the version of you that wants to rest. And if you do not fight that war, mediocrity wins. When I was building Apple, people thought it was about innovation, about vision, about changing the world. And yes, all of those mattered. But what they didn't see was the hours, the sacrifice, the relentless discipline it took behind the scenes. For every moment on stage where I unveiled a product, there were countless nights of grinding, of saying no to comfort, of pushing past exhaustion. Innovation was born from discipline. Without it, vision is just a dream. You see, mediocrity is seductive. It whispers to you every day. It tells you, take it easy. You've done enough. You deserve a break. Why push so hard? Why not settle for what you already have? Mediocrity dresses itself up as self-care, as balance, as normal life. And if you don't have the discipline to resist, you will fall for it. You will start making excuses. You will start convincing yourself that average is acceptable. And before you realize it, you've built a life that looks nothing like the one you promised yourself. Discipline is the antidote. It is the weapon you wield when everything tries to pull you into mediocrity. It forces you to stay aligned with your vision. It sharpens your focus like a blade. It builds a wall between you and the distractions that steal your time, your energy, your future. Without discipline, your mind becomes scattered, your actions become weak, and your results become irrelevant. With discipline, even the impossible starts to bend. But here's the part most people can't accept: discipline requires sacrifice. It demands that you give up things you enjoy in the moment for the sake of what you want long term. It demands you miss out on comfort, on approval, on fitting in. It demands loneliness, because the path of discipline is often walked alone. People will call you obsessive, extreme, even crazy, and they will be right. Because to become the person you said you would be, you have to be willing to do what the average person will never do. That is the price of discipline. And yet, that's why discipline is power. It builds a resilience inside you that nothing else can. When others quit, discipline keeps you moving. When others doubt, discipline keeps you focused. When others fall into the trap of mediocrity, discipline makes you immune. It is not a prison, it is freedom. Because when you have discipline, you are no longer controlled by impulse, distraction, or fear. You are in control. You are the one driving your life forward, no matter what tries to stop you. The greatest danger in life is not failure. It is being average without even realizing it. And the greatest weapon you have against that danger is discipline. Without it, every dream dies. Without it, every vision fades. Without it, you will betray yourself and call it normal. But with it, you can carve out a life so sharp, so focused, so powerful that nothing ordinary can survive around you. Pain is the teacher most people run from, but it is the teacher that shapes the strongest people you will ever meet. Everyone wants growth. Everyone wants transformation, everyone wants success, but no one wants the pain that comes with it. And yet, without pain, nothing changes. Without pain, you stay soft. Without pain, you remain the same. Pain is not the enemy, it is the catalyst. It is the very fire that forges you into the person you once promised yourself you would become. When I was fired from Apple, the company I started in my own garage, I felt pain deeper than I had ever known. Rejection at that level doesn't just wound your career. It wounds your identity. It makes you question everything. And in that moment, pain could have broken me. It could have ended me. But instead, it pushed me. It forced me to strip away my ego, to rebuild myself, to sharpen my vision, to become more dangerous, more focused, more relentless than ever before. Without that pain, there would be no second act. Without that pain, there would be no iPod, no iPhone, no revolution. Pain was the price. Pain was the fuel. Pain was the catalyst. The truth is, people fear pain because it feels like loss. It feels like punishment. It feels like the universe is against them. But pain is not against you. It is shaping you. Pain forces you to confront weaknesses you would rather ignore. Pain drags you out of comfort zones you would otherwise live in forever. Pain strips you down until there is nothing left but the truth of who you really are. And in that naked truth, you find power. Look around at the people who inspire you. None of them became who they are without pain. Athletes train their bodies through pain. Entrepreneurs sacrifice comfort and endure rejection through pain. Artists struggle with doubt, failure, and endless nights of work through pain. Behind every masterpiece, behind every breakthrough, behind every revolution, there is pain. The difference is, most people see pain as the signal to stop. But the few who rise above see pain as the signal to begin. Pain teaches you discipline in a way nothing else can. It forces you to be resilient when the world is against you. It makes you tougher than your excuses, stronger than your fears. When you suffer, you learn what truly matters. You learn how badly you want it. You learn if your dream is worth the cost. And that's why pain is necessary. Because if your dream cannot survive pain, it was never strong enough to begin with. The comfort zone is where dreams die. It feels safe, it feels easy, it feels pleasant. But it produces nothing extraordinary. Pain, on the other hand, tears you apart. It burns, it exhausts, it makes you question yourself. But when you walk through it, you are never the same again. Pain rebuilds you. Pain transforms you. Pain forges you into steel. And that transformation cannot happen any other way. I see people who want the result but not the struggle. They want the victory but not the sacrifice. They want to stand on the stage but never face rejection. They want success, but they want it painless. That is the greatest illusion of all. Because the truth is, everything powerful is born out of struggle. Every evolution is triggered by pain. The most dangerous version of you will only emerge after you have been broken, tested, and remade by pain. That is why pain is not to be feared, but to be respected. It is not a punishment, but an invitation. It is not weakness, but strength in disguise. If you learn to endure it, if you learn to embrace it, if you learn to use it, pain will give you what nothing else can: transformation. It will take you from who you are today to the person you once swore you would become. The most dangerous thing you can ever do is betray your own identity. Because once you do, you lose the core of your power. You see, success is not about titles, money, or recognition. It is about alignment. Alignment between who you truly are, who you said you would become, and the actions you take every single day. When those three align, you are unstoppable. But when they break apart, when you act in ways that contradict who you know you are inside, you fracture yourself. And that fracture is the beginning of weakness. Most people live wearing masks. They put on a version of themselves that society approves of, that family expects, that friends are comfortable with. They hide their true identity behind layers of compromise. They forget who they are, and in doing so, they forget their power. They play roles they never chose. They follow paths they never wanted. They become strangers to themselves. And all of it comes from one choice: choosing the comfort of fitting in over the courage of standing out. Identity is not something that is given to you. It is something you create. It is the standard you set for yourself, the story you decide to live by, the promise you refuse to break. If you don't define it, the world will. And when the world defines your identity, you will spend your life living by someone else's rules, chasing someone else's dream, carrying someone else's expectations. There is nothing more dangerous than that, because it kills your power without you even noticing. When I was building Apple, I was not just building computers. I was building a reflection of my identity. Every design, every product, every detail had to represent the standards I held for myself. It wasn't about competing with other companies. It was about being true to what I believed technology could and should be. That alignment between my identity and my work created power. It created products that didn't just function. They spoke, they inspired, they connected. That power came from identity, not from imitation. The challenge is this: the world will constantly try to make you forget who you are. It will try to make you blend in. It will try to convince you that your vision is too extreme, your values are too rigid, your standards are too high. And the moment you lower those standards, the moment you water down your identity to make others comfortable, you lose the edge that makes you powerful. You become diluted. You become replaceable. You become invisible. Identity is power because it acts like a compass. It directs your choices. It filters your opportunities. And it tells you what is worth your time and what is not. Without it, you wander. You say yes to everything. You chase what looks shiny instead of what feels true. You live by accident instead of by design. But when your identity is strong, every decision becomes clear. You know what to build, what to destroy, what to ignore, and what to fight for. That clarity is rare, and that clarity is dangerous, because the world cannot control someone who knows exactly who they are. But here's the cost. Identity requires courage. It requires standing alone when others don't believe in you. It requires saying no to opportunities that don't align, even when they promise comfort or success. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood, criticized, and even rejected. Most people can't handle that. So they give up their identity piece by piece until nothing of them is left. And once it's gone, it's almost impossible to get it back. The darkest power lesson is realizing that identity is the only thing you truly own. Everything else can be taken from you. Money, status, recognition, relationships. But who you are at your core, the promise you made to yourself, the standard you refuse to lower, that is untouchable unless you give it away. And most people give it away far too cheaply in exchange for acceptance, for comfort, for approval. Your identity is the foundation of your power. When you honor it, you become magnetic. When you betray it, you become hollow. And in a world full of people who have already forgotten who they are, the rarest and most powerful thing you can do is to remember. Remember this: the world will try to make you forget. It will tempt you with comfort, distract you with noise, and punish you with pain. It will tell you to slow down, to give in, to become ordinary. But the truth is, you are not fighting the world. You are fighting yourself. You are fighting the voice inside that says it's okay to let go of the promise you once made. You said you would become someone, not average, not ordinary, someone rare, someone unforgettable. That promise was not a fantasy. It was a declaration. And if you let it die, it won't be because life was unfair, or because the odds were impossible, or because others didn't believe in you. it will be because you surrendered. Discipline is the weapon. Pain is the catalyst. Identity is the power, and memory, the memory of who you said you would become, is the foundation. If you can hold on to that promise, if you can protect it, feed it, fight for it, then nothing, no rejection, no setback, no failure can stop you. Because at the end of the day, greatness doesn't belong to the talented, or the lucky, or the chosen. It belongs to those who remember who they are, who they said they would be, and who refuse to live as anything less.